All right. I think we're live now. Sorry, I was a minute late today. Got wrapped up and talking to my wife and didn't even realize what time it was. Looked down. I was like, oh, crap, it's 8:01. Got to go. So I made it, though. Hopefully we got everything going. I think the mic's going good. It looks like we got sound. You guys let me know. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Let's make sure. I'm going to wait and give a second for some responses, and then we'll jump into things. It takes a minute, so I know this is awkward, weird. Loud and clear. Okay, good. We're good to go. Okay. So let's get the disclaimers out of the way. This is a weekly live broadcast. This is just pretty much every Thursday evening. Right now we're doing it at 8 o'clock Central, but I do have an announcement. We're going to be changing the time back to 7 o'clock Central. So we'll get into that here shortly. Right now, today, like I said, 8 o'clock, but going forward, it'll be 7 o'clock Central Thursday evenings, unless something gets in the way. And if something gets in the way and I can't make it, I got something on my glasses. Then I usually post in the community section that I won't be able to do a live that night or something like that. But tonight we're good. Next week we should be good. I don't have a topic planned out. I do my best to respond to everybody in the chat during the live broadcast, the chat itself. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Ask me anything. Just keep it family friendly. Be polite. Don't start cussing anybody. We can have good disagreements and good debates. Those are fine. No reason to hate anybody because they have a different opinion than you. So let's get into it. We got David Lister here. The first comment. Awesome. We got 21 likes already in here, and we haven't even started. Dave says, hey, everyone from McAllister Quail Trail, Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas to you, too. Thanks for joining us tonight. Rabbit Homesteading, good to see you. Phil, Mary says, Merry Christmas to everyone. S.O. Swanson, greetings. Almost forgot today was Thursday. I did the same thing. Which, like I said, I got an announcement to make, so I'll get into that here in just a minute. No, that's why I almost forgot it was Thursday. Joy from Western Oregon, good to see you. And then we got Ed. Ed Got Bates here, says, good evening, Chris and everyone. Hope all is well. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Well, I wish you a Merry Christmas as well. And Chester, good to see you. TM, hope everyone is ready for tonight's chat. Merry Christmas to all. Hopefully you are ready. And good. Merry Christmas to you, too. Hey, Verna, good to see you. Says, evening, everyone. Good to see you all. Didn't think that Chris was going to be live tonight. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No reason not to be. Aaron Guidros is here. Says, good evening to everyone. Good evening to you, too. Thanks for joining. It's going to be the Christmas special, huh? Yeah, I don't know if I do much of a Christmas special, but, anyway. Verna says the kids will be 5 weeks on Sunday and weigh close to 1.5 pounds already. Awesome. Well, congratulations on those. I'm glad to hear they're doing well. All right, let's see. We got a whole bunch. Andy Rabbits here says Merry Christmas. Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you too. S.O. Swanson says we appear to be a few likes short. Feel free to click it now. It won't hurt at all. Yeah, we're okay. We got 23 likes in here. We're good. And TM just hit the button. Always forget. Hey, that's all good. I'm not holding it against you. Where we at here? All right, I'm going to try to find where I left off. Hey, there's Jesse Mills. Good to see you, Jesse. Finally made it to the live again. That's all good. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. You guys are all thinking, I thought last week we talked about it and I said I was going to be here this week. I don't know. But I see a lot of comments asking whether I was going to be here or not. But yeah, we're here. We're good. Dragon Girl's here. Good evening to you too. Let's see. Hey, there's Curtis Snow. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Says, how you been? I've been doing well. Thank you. I'm going through the chats right now. There's a whole bunch of you guys talking back and forth to each other, which I tend to skip over. Doesn't bother me. It's fine. But it's just taking me a minute to find the things I need to respond to. Don Skin says, hey, from South Mississippi, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, too. Let's see where we at here. Chester Hickman says, I have some Palomino rabbits. What color is the most common, golden or lynx? I don't really know on Palominos. I'm not an expert on those, but I want to say the only ones I've ever seen have been, I don't know if they call it golden. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, it's like that blonde color, but I don't know if that's called golden or not. That's the ones that I've seen most common, but I don't know if that's the most common or not. I haven't really looked into Palominos all that much. Jacob Wolf says, I got my rabbits new feeders from Bass Equipment. They're really good quality and working well so far. I just got resting mats from them too, but haven't put them in yet. I might try their cages too. Well, nice to hear that. And actually, Bass Equipment is in Monette, Missouri, which is not that far from here. Just a good local company. Let me take a look at that real quick. Yeah, they're in, I believe they're in Monette. Yeah, Monette, Missouri. Yeah, just down the road. Not very far at all from me. So dealing with a Missouri company. Good to hear that they are doing well or providing you with good quality products. Rabbit Homestead, he says, I don't mean to sound bad, but I don't like any holiday specials, LOL. Oh, that's all good. You haven't seen the Star Wars holiday special that was put out like in the, what was that, early 80s, late 70s? It was terrible, by the way. Don't watch it. It was horrible. David Lister says, I got the egg trays from GQF and well on collecting that first incubation of 100 jumbo eggs. Many thanks for the early Christmas gift. Well, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Bob Cole says, I got a couple of Thermopro units today, checking them against Govies and analog thermometer. I calibrate for accuracy. Yeah, I like, I've been using the Govee incubators. They seem to be working pretty well. I do every once in a while, though, do some second guess them because they're digital. And I just have this kind of in the back of my head that digital thermometers are not all that accurate. You know, they're fine for like meat thermometers and things like that. But when you're looking at something that needs to be pretty precise, like incubating, it's always in the back of my head. But, you know, so far they've done pretty well. So I may be wrong. Let's see. TM says, I read about them eating raw quail eggs in Japan. Have you tried them raw? I don't think I've actually eaten any raw. I did a video, it's been years ago now, on the health benefits of quail eggs. And there's some real scientific evidence that they can, really be real helpful for all kinds of things, from treating like diabetes to asthma to, all kinds of things. But you have to eat them raw in order to get those health benefits. But I haven't actually tried them because, well, I don't have any big problems. So I'm doing okay. Thank goodness. And there is, everything I've read says that there's like a much less chance, like almost nil, of getting salmonella from raw quail eggs, where, you know, there is that chance from chicken eggs, of course. But, yeah, Verna says they're easier to eat raw than chicken egg. I've never eaten a raw chicken egg either. They're smaller and more nutritious too. Yeah, you could like blend them up in a, I don't know, orange juice or something maybe. I don't like orange juice, but, some people do. Curtis Snow says, can a buck cause 4 dead litters, roughly 40 kits, all different does? Oh, so, okay. So what I'm guessing is what happened, and, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm thinking is that you bred him to 4 different does, and all their litters were stillborn. Basically, they died right off the bat. I don't know that I've ever heard of anything like the buck causing that, but that is weird. 4 different does all having litters that died. I'd have to look into more like, what's your situation? How do you have them? Were they in the nest box? Were they on the cage floor? What's going on there before I could be able to really kind of help troubleshoot that much more. It's an interesting thought. I don't know of anything that, there's nothing in my mind that I can think of that would make me say that it's the buck's fault. I can't think of why. If they got pregnant, the babies developed, I can't think of how that would tie back to the buck at all. But I may be wrong. There may be something I don't know about. I've just never heard of that happening, and I'm not really familiar with that. Michael R says, season greetings to everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well, and Merry Christmas. Spartman says, a dad joke. If the USA is so great, then why is there a USB? Okay, yeah, that was pretty good. Jan Steffi says, Jan and Joe Steffi say hello from Indiana. Well, awesome. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining. JJ Willis says, I hope he didn't take an old man's nap and forget about us. Me? Are you talking about me? I did take a nap today. And it's probably a good time to talk about the announcement I have, which is not going to affect you guys, but affects me. So I've actually taken a new job. I've worked at the place I work at right now. I've worked at for 15 years. I'm in the call center industry. That's what I've done 31 years. But the current place I've employed at, I've worked at for 15 years. I've known a lot of the people that work there worked at the very first call center I ever worked at. I've known them for the better part of 31 years. And I've moved around. I started at a call center here in Joplin. It closed down. I went to work for another one that came in and took over, and then moved to Texas with them. I was in Texas for about 8 years and moved back to Missouri. I've been back for 15 years working at this same company. But I had a good opportunity for a job come up. I'm going to be a data analyst for a mental health and wellness facility anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing, working with Power BI and SQL and Excel. I'm really good at those kinds of things. So look at that. We got a super chat. I'll have to jump on that next. But anyway, so that is why I'm going to be going back to an 8 to 5 schedule Monday through Friday. And I've actually got time off. Yesterday I went into our corporate office in Springfield. They had a big going away lunch for me and all that. And they said, well, I planned on taking next week off anyway as vacation time. I start my new job on the 2nd of January. So I gave notice to tomorrow. The 22nd was supposed to be my last day in office. I had some vacation time left over. I went ahead and took a week of vacation between Christmas and New Year. And they told me yesterday, said, you know what, we got everything covered. You can just go ahead and take the next couple of days off. Won't affect your salary. They're going to go ahead and pay me out. I work for a really good company. It was hard to leave. But this was a good opportunity, so I needed to take it. But they were real good to me and told me to go ahead and take the next couple of days off. So that's why, today, I was out. I took a nap this afternoon, got about 5 o'clock. I was cleaning up around the house a little bit, doing a few things, and I was like, well, at least it's Friday. Wait a minute, it's not Friday. It's Thursday. So I didn't realize it about 6:30 almost. Well, it was about 6:30. I realized it was Thursday and I needed to do live broadcast tonight. So anyway, so we're in here. So anyway, I got a new job starting up, coming up. I'm off next week. So Thursday night, we should be live, unless something comes up with the family or something that I need to be doing, with it being the holiday week. But I think everything will be good. But we'll go back to 7 o'clock Central. It's much easier for me. So we're going to be doing 7 o'clock Central so far going forward. Welsh Homesteading Adventures says, good evening to everyone. Well, good evening to you. Oh, yeah, the super chat. Let's jump down there and handle that super chat. $20 super chat from Rabbit Homesteading. Says, great tip for rabbits. Spend some money for a breed everyone wants. People from out of state coming over, $100 each. And if they don't all sell, you still have meat. Selling profit can turn into whatever meat you want. Yeah, that is a very good tip. That is one of the reasons why I have the silver foxes. I don't sell them for anywhere near $100. What are you breeding that you're selling for $100 a rabbit? That would be fantastic. But that's one of the reasons I do have. And thank you very much for the super chat, by the way. One of the reasons I got into pedigree silver foxes is so that I have some good breeding stock and good pedigree bloodlines to be able to sell those rabbits. And I do sell a few. And you're right. It helps pay for feed cost, if nothing else. All right, Carmel. Is it Carmel? Carmel C? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. It looks like Carmel. But anyway, says, Merry Christmas to you and Max and the wife. Well, thank you very much. And Merry Christmas to you too. Let's see. Andy Rabbit says, check your feed if you have many dying in a short time. It could be feed related, but since it's just the babies, I doubt it is. We're talking about Curtis Snow, I believe, his issue with the 4 litters dead. Chester Hickman says, is 18 inches tall enough for cages? 18 inches should be tall enough. Let me take a look at something here real quick. make sure I'm not. No, it looks like 24 inches. 18 inches for quail is what I was looking at. But no, 24 inches. You really need to go a little bit taller. The rabbit needs to have enough room in their cage to be able to stand up on their hind legs and stretch out completely. 18 inches is a little bit on the short side. I would go a little bit taller, at least 24, to make sure they have that room. Now, it'd be fine for like a grow out pen for some rabbits that you're going to be growing out for just a couple of weeks or something. But for breeder pens, for your permanent pins for your breeders, you really need to be 24 inches. Curtis Snow says, all nest box, all tamucks and pulled fur and stillborn, trying a new buck now. Goodness, I am sorry I don't have a great suggestion for you. That doesn't make any sense. All stillborn. I can't imagine to be tied back to the buck. But they're all in the nest box. They all had pulled fur. And they're tamucks, so they should be. I mean, I was going to say it's been kind of warm, so maybe some heat issues, but tamucks are supposed to be. I can't imagine that would be causing the stillborn issues either. I mean, it just doesn't make. I'm reaching for something, and I can't come up with anything. So I am sorry to hear that. And I guess Verna's saying the rabbit, the 18 inches is fine for rabbits. For quail, it may be a bit too tall. It's not too tall for quail. That whole idea that quail need a short cage so they don't jump up and break their neck, that's kind of a myth. Yeah, it can happen. They can injure themselves, but it's not really a big issue. I have mine are taller than 18 inches, I think. And maybe they're right at 18 inches. I don't know. But I have never had an issue with the quail flying up and breaking it. As far as I know, I mean, I've had a few birds here and there. Every great once in a while, I find one dead for whatever reason. I don't know why. And maybe that's what happened, but it's not really an issue. You can go 18 inches. You can go 12, 14. You can go 24 inches on quail. It's fine. JJ Willow gives a wave to me. Well, wave back to you. And TM says, good luck with the new job. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Sparkman says, cool on the job. I can run SQL scripts, but have no clue on how to construct one. So, well, I don't find SQL too hard, really. I haven't done SQL in a very long time. I taught myself SQL, but that's been 25 years ago, maybe not quite that long. But either way, I never had a use for it in the job I'm working right now. So I haven't really used it much, just a few select queries. But as a data analyst, that's all I'm going to be doing is pulling data out of SQL databases. And honestly, I probably won't need to use SQL much at all because I don't find it that difficult. I find it a pretty simple language. But with Power BI, and I don't actually use Power BI much now, but I'm very good at Excel, incredibly good at Excel. Not to brag, but I mean, I've used Excel a lot. I know it very, very well. And the Power Query in the DAX language in Excel is the same as what they use in Power BI. So that transfers over pretty well, and you can connect directly to the SQL database and pull the data out in Power BI without having to go through SQL. So it should be okay. But anyway, I'm kind of excited to get into some new stuff. It will be fun. But yeah, like I said, I don't really find SQL all that hard. And there's lots of, we live in a time now where YouTube, I mean, you can go to YouTube or, however you like to learn, but I like to learn through videos a lot of the time. And you can find you can find a whole college course on SQL on YouTube and watch it, for free. So we got Rabbit Home saying says congrats. Jesse Mills says congrats. A bunch of congratulations. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. I'm sure it's going to be a good move for me. But yeah, I always, I prayed about it, of course, before I did move because, like I said, it was kind of hard to give up my current job. I know those people really well. I work with for a good company. I work with a great bunch of people. Have for 15 years. They've always been good to me, and they're just, I've known them for a long time. They're friends more than just coworkers, and it was very hard to make that decision to leave. But I think it's going to work out for the best. Hello, Governor says, thank you for all your videos. One of my does is going to Kindle maybe tonight. Very helpful channel. Well, awesome. Congratulations on that. Hopefully your new litter does well, and you you have lots of babies. Verna says, so the extra days off are a Christmas present from your old job, LOL. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I didn't plan on necessarily taking time off, but the way it worked out, by the time I got the official offer from the new job, I needed to give my current job at least 2 weeks. And I told them that. They appreciated that too. They're like, yeah, we would want the same thing. I said, well, it worked out to where I said, if I give off, the day they gave me the offer letter, I said, if I accept the offer today, give notice today, that's going to put me available to my first day of work on the 22nd tomorrow. And I said, but that's, the Friday before Christmas. I'm not sure how that works out with your schedule. They came back and said, well, we would like you to go ahead and start on the 2nd. And that worked out great. I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Because then I could give 2-week notice to my current job, give them time to find somebody to replace me. We had a bunch of changes go on there. So anyway, long story short, gave them 2 weeks to find somebody to fill in for me, which was not really hard with what I've been doing lately. And then I had a week of vacation time I hadn't taken. So I was like, well, I'll just take that extra week of vacation time for the last week of work there. So, but now I have to, for the first time in 25 years, I have to pay for my own cell phone. This is a work provided phone. I'm going to keep the same phone number. For those of you guys that, we do talk on the phone occasionally, they're going to let me keep my phone number. They're actually going to let me keep the phone too, but I got to go find a provider. I haven't shopped for cell phone providers, like I said, in about 25 years, because it's all been work provided for the last 25 years. But anyway, it'll be okay. It'll work out well. SS Swanson says, make sure that the new job will let you off Labor Day weekend. Yeah, well, it's a Monday through Friday job, and the major holidays are all off. So yeah, that shouldn't be a problem either. If nothing else, I'll have vacation time I can use. David Lister says, congrats on the new job, Chris. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, if you guys don't know why, Labor Day weekend is QuailCon. So, Verna says, yeah, Chris, one of my kits are already sold. Well, awesome. That is great. Jan Steffi says, Merry Christmas to everyone. Well, Merry Christmas to you too. Rabbit Homesteading says, it has been a while and ran out of text in Super Chat, but Velveteen Lops, but haven't done in a few years and not sure if that's still a good breed as they were then. Well, they might be. I don't know much about those. Velveteen Rabbits. That comes up with a kid's book. I'll have to look that up later. Velveteen Lops, huh? I don't know if I want to get into breeding pet rabbits, but man, there's some money in them, that's for sure. Curtis Snow says, has me stumped too. I have 2 more due on the 29th and 31st. Same buck. Well, good luck. I hope that those do well. You're not very far from figuring that out. Figuring out if they do well or not anyway. But yeah, I'm kind of stumped too. I mean, I know you're local, so heck, if you got some time off next week, let me know. I can come over and take a look at stuff and see if we can figure it out. But I might be able to anyway. Don't know what's going on all week next week. But anyway, I don't know. I can't, nothing comes to mind right offhand is like, what are you sure? You might check your straw or whatever you're using for bedding in your nest boxes. Make sure it's not moldy. If it's moldy, that could be causing some issues, but 4 litters, all stillborn, all of them lost. You say stillborn makes me think they were never alive. Like you never saw them alive. So were they all first time does maybe? That'd be just really bad luck, but I don't know. JJ Willow says there always seems to be 1 jumper per hatch, but I've never had them break their neck. Yeah, I've never had those issues really either. Oh yeah, JJ Willow saying the same thing to Curtis Snow. Says, could it be the bedding? It could be. Jacob Wolf says, Chris, are you on the naughty or nice list this year? I guess it depends on who you ask. Says, LOL, does anyone else gift your animals as a treat on Christmas or just me? I get all my animals something, even the rabbits and chickens. No, we don't get everything. The dog is going to get something, but that's just because we have a bark box for him. We get that. And we haven't let him open his bark box yet. He knows what it is. He knows it's bark box. He knows it's for him, but we're saving that one for Christmas. But no, we don't actually go out and buy gifts for the Christmas for the animals. That's kind of, I mean, there's no problem. Do it if you want to, but it's just they don't know what's going on. I mean, he's happy to have it no matter what day it is. He doesn't care if it's Christmas or not. His gift for Christmas is going to be, we're going to have a bunch of people over. So he'll be excited to play with the kids and all. Spartman says, let's see, I've tried programming and SQL language, etc. I've determined I am a hardware guy. Hey, I get it. I completely understand. It's one of those things that actually comes fairly easy to me. I'm not a programmer necessarily. I did take, I watched a whole college course on YouTube on Python, and I learned a little bit of Python, so I can code in Python a little bit, which I find not really that difficult. But again, it's one of those things that I don't have a use for it, so I'm not using it really. So I've kind of forgotten most of that stuff. But I don't find any of those things terribly difficult to pick up. I've been using Excel for a long time. And, with the new Power Query, and if you guys know what we're talking about, sorry, I'm getting a kind of techie here, but with the new Power Query and the DAX and Power Pivot that are in Excel, you can do crazy things with Excel, and way easier than the way I learned Excel with all the formulas and the functions and things like that within Excel. But because I know those and I've learned those and used those for so long, I mean, it's very much like coding. It's very similar. So it's just like learning new syntax, basically, is all I have to do. I understand the basics of coding. So that, I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, everybody's different. I mean, it takes all kinds, which is good because, that's the way it is. Chester Hickman says, how long will do more cages last if they are inside a barn and not directly in the weather? Yeah, I don't know if I can answer that for you. I've got those do more cages right now. I'm starting to see some little rust on some of the, especially like the door handles where the slide that slides in and out where it's kind of rubbed the paint a little bit. They're starting to rust a little bit right there. But other than that, they're holding up pretty well. But I haven't had them all that long, so I don't know. And they're outside. So I would think they would last a good long time, but I don't know, honestly. I'll have to get back with you on that as I see, how well they do. Curtis Snow says, no, I believe it's the same kind of straw I've always used. Well, you might check it, make sure it didn't get wet or something. If it got wet, I mean, that could be an issue. Even if they are covered with fur, but the straw is wet, it may cause them to chill and die. I don't know. TM says, I hope your wife is okay with the new job. Yeah, she's excited about it too. It's a pay increase. That's one of the big reasons I took it. Pretty significant bump in pay, which is good because, things are getting tight around here with the inflation and things like that, the way they're going. My current company right now, the position that we're in it's not terrible. I mean, we're doing okay and they're going to bounce back. I know that, but we did lose a big client a while back. That's why I had to change jobs. My shift changed, all that kind of stuff. Change jobs within the current company I'm working in. Anyway, where was I going with all that? Oh, so yeah, she's good with it. And in fact, we were walking into Walmart the other day and she said, I'm so proud of you for getting a job. like I'm some kind of deadbeat that hadn't been working for years or something. She didn't mean it that way, but it was kind of funny. Carmel C says, we have 3 wrecks and I like to get some silver fox rabbits next year. Does anyone have them in Washington State? I don't know about Washington State. I'm a ways from Washington State. If you want to drive to Missouri, I mean, I'll have some, but that's a ways from from Washington State. JJ Willow says, I stopped using hay in my garden because of the chemicals used to kill my plants. I wonder if straw is the same way. I've not had any issues with straw, but I mean, it depends on where you're getting it from. If the hay's got chemicals in it that are killing your plants, the straw does. I mean, straw is just hay that has gone to seed already and the seed heads are done. So, are gone. That's it. So yeah, it wouldn't be any different, but I have not had any issues with any of my hay or straw or anything like that being toxic. I don't actually use it in the garden anymore because I use the landscape fabric. But I don't know. Verna says, I use hay and not straw. Well, nothing wrong with that. Andy Rabbit says, I went with Mint Mobile. I like it. I'll have to look into that one. Let me make a note of that so I don't forget. I wonder what towers they use because they probably don't use their own. Right now, through my, work is still paying for this phone right now because I'm still technically employed with them for another, well, till the 30th or whatever it is. 29th, I guess, would be my last official day. But and they're still going to pay for it for, I mean, I got another week after that before I need to worry about getting it on my own, but I'll probably do it earlier than that. But it's on Verizon right now. We switched from, I was with Sprint for a long time. It worked out fine. Then I think we switched to AT&T, and I used it, and it was okay too. I don't really want to use AT&T personally because I don't like AT&T for multiple reasons. I worked with them as a client before, and they're a pain to work with as a client. And, and I had good customer service from them, so I don't want to go with AT&T. But this has been Verizon, and it actually works fine from my home, but I don't get great coverage. So, and it's just where I live. Some of the places I go, I don't get real good coverage from them. So I don't know that I want to go with anybody that uses Verizon lines, but I'll take a look at it and see what. Oh, they run on the T-Mobile network. Well, my wife uses T-Mobile, which I think was Sprint before, so they may be good. I'll have to look at it. Rabbit Homesteading says, same with me. Never paid for a cell phone since like 98. Never had one in my name. Well, this is in my name. I mean, it's got my name on the caller ID and all that. So I'm very glad that my company's letting me keep that phone number and port it out because, man, I've had this phone number for, 15 years. It'd be hard to change. Don says, whoops, I'm late. It's all good, Don. You know the deal. We don't keep attendance here. Andy Rabbit says, Velveta Lop. Is that what it is? Velveeta Lop? It says, is a Lop rabbit with Rex fur. Okay. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Cesar Reyes is here. Says, hey, Chris, better late than never. Yeah, absolutely. Show up whenever you want to. It's all good with me. Verna says, how are you feeling, Don? Don, have you been sick? Hopefully you're doing okay. Don says a little better each day. The arm is really slow. Foot is faster. Bruises are starting to get better. What happened? I didn't know anything about that. I would have been praying for you. Sorry. Dragon Girl says to Carmel C, you could try your local Craigslist for Silver Fox. You could. You can also look up, like, there's a Rabbit Breeders Association, and sometimes you can look in there and find people in your local, like they usually have a classifieds listing or at least a breeder's listing. They might be a little bit more expensive that way because you're buying from somebody that's, like on the ARBA, but, it's a good place to look, or state, like if you have a state fair or something like that. Bob Cole says, before I forget, thanks, Chris, for all the help you give the community. Hope you have a blessed Christmas and excellent New Year, or exciting New Year, I think it says. Well, good. Well, thank you, I should say. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Verna says, I'm glad you feel a little bit better, just more careful next time. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened, but anyway. JJ Willow says, Christmas cards are like $10 per one, so this year I made little gift bags of treats and candles. I hope no one is offended. Well, I don't send out Christmas cards. I kind of feel bad about that occasionally because I get Christmas cards from people and I always think, oh, that's so nice of them, but I don't actually do it. I should probably. Don says, Deverna, I changed shoes and my hands full with quail treats and it just happened. LOL. I'm paranoid now, but can't stop. If it happens again, won't wear those shoes again. So it must have been you fell or something, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. JJ Willow says, Verna says the gift bags are better and more personal. And JJ Willow says, I think so. I just couldn't see spending a couple $100 on cardboard. Yeah, we make, my wife does. Well, I did it this year because I was off work and she was working. So I made a bunch of, Christmas cookies. She actually made a whole bunch too. She does better at it than I do, but we make these ones that are really good. It's her deal. She's made them for years. It's a Ritz cracker. You put some peanut butter on it, put another Ritz cracker on top, and then you dunk them in chocolate, basically. And man, people love them, and they're just super easy to make. So yeah, we make those. and give those out. But Rabbit Homesteading says, I had a video, but I was pulling in the driveway. The rabbit cam video going back to see showed me spooking them, pulling in, and a rabbit ran into fences. And I don't know, broken neck, rare, but weird things can happen. Wait, I had on video, but I was pulling in the driveway. Rabbit cam video going back to see showed me spooking them, pulling in, and a rabbit ran into the fence. And I don't know, broken neck, rare, but oh yeah, well that could happen. I'm not sure. That was hard to follow for some reason. It was a long run-on sentence with not a lot of punctuation. I'm not sure, but I think what you're saying is you had a rabbit that ran into the fence and broke its neck. Yeah, well, that could absolutely happen, or a broken back or something like that. Rabbits are fairly fragile with those kinds of things. I'm kind of amazed that they don't hurt themselves more often. I had one of my rabbits. Oh, it's been probably a week ago. I went out to feed and water them, and one of my does, when she hopped, she was sitting on her tile, and she hopped off that, and she had one of her back legs held up in the air, and she hopped, to the back of the cage with that foot up in the air, and then just kind of sat there in the cage. And I was like, oh no, what's wrong? And I looked at her foot, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. I didn't see any sign of sore hocks or anything like that. And just kind of left her alone for a little while, and came back a little bit later and checked on her, and she wasn't moving around. So I reached in and kind of petted her a little bit, and she was fine with that. And then I kind of nudged her to get her to move, and she was fine. No problems at all. She was walking on it just fine, just like normal. So I don't know, maybe it's just a freak thing, but yeah, those things happen. And Bob Cole saying Merry Christmas to everyone. Well, Merry Christmas to you too. JJ Willow says, I wish everyone would get together for a holiday dinner. Andy Rabbit, you would definitely get one. One of the gift bags, huh? Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Get together for a holiday. If we weren't all so far apart, huh? Rabbit Homesteading says, sorry for slandered stuff, but keep having to edit my text to keep under the character count. Oh, it's all good. It's all fine. I'm guessing you're typing on a phone. That would be, man, if I was typing on the phone, it would be terrible. I can do a keyboard pretty well, but the phones I'm not that good with. Especially with the predictive text on there all the time. It's crazy. S.O. Swanson says Mint Mobile uses T-Mobile towers. There you go. J.J. Willow says, but AT&T services are really good. Yeah, they are. I just, they're fine. They worked fine for me, but there's other companies that work fine too. And AT&T customer service isn't good. My big issue with AT&T is I worked with them as a client for years, back before back when it was Bell South. And they're just a terrible company to work with, in my opinion. I just did not like them. I don't want to slander people, but they micromanage you like beyond belief. They're very demanding, and they don't treat people well. So I don't really care for them. I can remember back when AT&T was the only phone company there was. It was back in 1984 is when MCI came out, and they what do they call it? Deregulated and broke up. Not deregulated, because that would be the other way around. But they broke up AT&T, and they became Southwestern Bell and US West and Bell South and all the baby Bell companies. Carl Wade says Straight Talk may be good service. I'll have to check that one out too. Curtis Snow says, I'll check Straw out, but been in a dry room where all seed is located. Okay, where everything is located is in a dry room, and where all feed is kept. Okay. So, yeah, it's probably okay, but that's, like I said, I'm kind of reaching for things because I don't know. What you're describing doesn't make any sense, so I don't have an obvious thing, so I'm kind of whatever I can come up with, but who knows? Hopefully it's just a fluke. Off Grid with Marty says Merry Christmas to everyone. You too. I guess this is the last live before Christmas. So David Lister says, when choosing a cell service, look for a company that has service where you live, play, worship, and work. All of them have holes. Yeah, absolutely. And Verizon, like I said, it works great from my home, from my office where I work now, it's not very good. It's crappy service. But it's not. That's not talking bad about Verizon. Like you said, they all have holes. It just depends on where you live, who's going to have good service and who's not. So, but where I live, I don't want to get Verizon service because it, the holes affect me. JJ Willow saying to ask Katrina because she knows, or to Curtis Snow to ask Katrina. She knows tons about rabbits. That might not be a bad idea. Always good to have extra, an extra set of eyes on a problem or something like that. I don't pretend like I know everything and I'm the absolute expert. So always willing to hear what other people have to say. I don't know if Katrina's here tonight or not. Don S says, Chris, I just fell going out the door on the door stoop. My foot popped and sprained everything, foot and leg, landed on my shoulder, messed up arm, hit the walker with my hip, just messed. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry to hear that. And it says, I'm thankful I was on the porch and door stoop wood, not concrete. Yeah, no kidding. Well, I'm glad you're doing better. Prayers for a speedy recovery. Andy Rabbit says ARBA has a breeding section. You can look up breeders on their site. Yeah, and you might be able to find some that are local to you, is my point to that. TM says, I want to try to make some Christmas crack. Okay. I'm not sure what that is. It's probably not crack. It's probably some kind of candy. Go for it. Samuel says, I'm new to rabbits and I've learned a lot from your past videos. Thanks for those. Currently building a hutch and expecting to get silver foxes in late January. The breeder wants $75 per rabbit. Is that too much? I don't know. I don't know what your local area is. It's not terribly high if you're getting good pedigree stock. So if they're good quality rabbits, good pedigree stock, especially if they come from like show lines that have some proven breeder, winners in them or something like that, that's not terribly high. But you may or may not be able to find them cheaper somewhere. But I would definitely, for $75 a rabbit, they better be pedigree rabbits. Vay says that sounds about right. Just make sure your buck is from a different doe than your doe are. Yeah, make sure they're not related, of course. Andy Rabbit says no, $75 is not too much for good silver foxes. I agree. Verna says broke up their monopoly on phones. Yeah, I remember that vaguely. I mean, I was pretty young back then, but because I'm in the industry, I've learned about it, and what I remember and what I've learned, I've put together, and I get it. But yeah, I do remember before, like there was a time where if you had a phone, it was AT&T, and the phone itself was AT&T. We're talking well before cell phones. These were landlines, and you rented the equipment from them. Matt Connell says, hey, Chris, I have a rabbit, date of birth March 2023, and I can't get her to breed at all. I've tried different bucks, locations, time of day, etc. She just won't lift any ideas. Pretty common issue. Let's see, we're March, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You're right on track. That's like 8 months, 9 months old. So that's right on track. I don't know how big she is. Usually 6 to 8 months, somewhere right around in there is about the time that they're going to first start breeding. But that first breeding can always be a little bit difficult. And you're also dealing with, today's the winter solstice. It's the shortest day of the year. That has some effect on them too. You might try to add some light, get the light up to about 12 hours a day or so and see if that helps. Get her in the mood. But other than that, I've got some videos on how to get rabbits to kind of breed when you need them to. I just keep trying. Chances are it's just one day she'll suddenly breed. She'll suddenly lift. Usually, try, what I would do is just be consistent with the trying. Let me back up. Make sure she is, I don't know what kind of rabbit she is. Did you say? It doesn't say. So make sure she's like at least 80 to 90% of what her adult weight will be. If she's supposed to be a 10-pound rabbit, you want to make sure she's at least 8 pounds, maybe a little bit over. That can help. Make sure it's a doe, of course. Check to make sure it's not a buck. Sometimes, you get mistakes. That happens. But then if all that things lines up, and she's plenty old enough now, so put her in with the buck, give her 15 minutes, see if she'll lift. If she won't, take her out, do it again in the evening, do it again the next day, do it again in the evening. Try that for a couple of days. See if she'll, the reoccurring act of the buck trying to court her and trying to mate with her will sometimes get them in the mood. You can try putting her in a pet carrier, driving her around the block a few times, then putting her in with the buck. I don't know why that works, but people swear by it. So it may be a good trick to try. You can also try putting her in the buck's cage, putting the buck in her cage for a little while. Don't put them in together, just separate, switching cages with them basically. Give her a chance to get familiar with the buck. Then take them back out, put them in their own cages, and move her in with the buck. You always want to take the doe to the buck, never the buck to the doe. But that might help a little bit with that too. Those are just a couple of ideas. Keep trying. I mean, it's probably going to happen eventually. Some does are just a little stubborn. It just takes them a little bit longer to be ready. So those are some tips that you can use to try to help get her to breed. Hopefully it works. Buddy and Camper says, good evening from Cloudcroft, New Mexico, 9,000 foot elevation off-grid cabin. Well, awesome. I'm glad you can make it. That sounds like a nice place to be. Brett says, I remember Ma Bell and Party Lines. Yeah, I don't remember Party Lines so much. I was a little too young. I was born in 74, but I can remember AT&T breaking up and a little bit of panic there. Samuel says, also was going to make the living space 30 by 30 by 24. Is that too little space? Oh, talking about rabbit cages. I'm sorry. Got lost. No, 30 by 30 by 24. It's not too little. It's a little bit on the small side for like a breeding doe with kits. I like to use 36 by 30, but 30 by 30 will work, especially if they're not overly large rabbits. Samuel says, thank you for the replies. I'm not sure if you're talking to me or other people, but either way, you are welcome. S.O. Swanson says, Straight Talk uses all the towers of AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. I may have to look at that one. My wife's on T-Mobile service, so I don't know. We may just add the line to her plan. I don't know. Rabbit Homesteading says, a lot of people here that I have never said hi to, but if you are here, you are cool. My people. Yeah, you're probably right. Buddy says, I use HughesNet for off-grid cabin. Yeah, that's what HughesNet's for. Works great for that. It's weird. I get advertisements, like I get things in the mail from HughesNet trying to, sell me internet service. I'm like, I live in town. I have cable internet. I don't need HughesNet. But if you're out in the country or something and where there's no other internet access, HughesNet's great. JJ Willow says T-Mobile works at home, but not on the road and not too well in West Virginia, though they are working on it. Yeah, all of them will get better over time. It just takes time to build out all that kind of stuff. Boris says T-Mobile. Verna says, Chris, Katrina is away for the holidays. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully she has a good holiday. Ed Got Bait says, more than likely it's the, how are we doing on time? We got 10 minutes left, 11. Ed says, more than likely it's the building you're in that's blocking your Verizon signal. It could be, but, it works slightly better outside the building than it does in the building. But I've never had that problem with any other carrier. It's just with Verizon. And I am connected to the Wi-Fi there whenever I'm there. But do have problems with like sending text messages and things like that with them while I'm at the office. And even the signal outside the office is not great. Verna says Christmas crack is saltines covered in caramel and chocolate. Oh, okay. Chester says, how do you keep a pedigree going? Well, a pedigree is actually kind of like an on your honor kind of thing. There's no real like official thing that you do. I mean, you just do it on your own. But basically, you just keep track of their parents, their grandparents. I mean, back like 3 generations. And you keep track of all of that. That's all you do. It's not really that difficult. But if somebody's done that, then that kind of proves out the bloodlines of your rabbits. And also, this would keep track if you're doing show rabbits or something like that, where you're taking them to rabbit shows, you would keep track of any awards that they won, if they have like grand champions in their bloodlines or anything like that. And those are better, those are good to have for somebody that's looking for, good quality breeding stock. They'll pay more for rabbits that have champions in their bloodlines. Chris says, Heitsuman, is that right? Heitsuman, I don't know if I got your last name right. Says, well, what breeding strategy do you use or recommend for preventing inbreeding without bringing in outside rabbits? Well, that's a good question. I just bring in outside rabbits every once in a while, but you can breed. When we talk about inbreeding, you want to avoid breeding siblings, but there's no problem with breeding like an offspring back to its parent. So like a daughter to the father or a son to the mother or something like that to make future breeders. In fact, that's called line breeding, and it's something that's done intentionally to strengthen bloodlines in a lot of cases. So you can do that. It's a very deep topic for me to try to get into here on a YouTube video or a live broadcast where we're on, and to try to explain. And I don't know that I have a good enough grasp on it to just go right off the top of my head and explain it to you that way. Yeah, I just bring in new bloodlines every once in a while, but I'm not a huge operation. I mean, I just keep a handful of breeders. I breed them. I try to make sure that I have some good pedigree stock that's unrelated so I can breed them, no problems. And then I don't usually keep breeders. If I do keep a breeder, I might keep one as a breeder as a replacement for my, current like breeder rabbit. But I just bring in new blood every once in a while. I don't really worry about it too much. Matt Connell says white New Zealand and large. May just keep trying. I think that's about the doe that won't lift, right? So yeah, give her some time. First time does can be a little bit difficult, but chances are that she'll just all of a sudden just decide to breed. Like I said, try to add some light. Light might help because we are pretty short days right now. JJ Willow says to TM, it's not that hard to make, but it's just one of those things I can't seem to do well, like fried chicken. I consider myself a pretty decent cook. I can do a lot of things really well. Fried chicken, I always have a hard time with. I've made it a couple of times where it turned out pretty good, but never just fantastic. I have a hard time with fried chicken too for some reason. I don't know why. I can do all kinds of other things, but fried chicken gets me. Brett says, go to your local regional fairs, walk around, meet the kids that have rabbits, ask about buying. That is a good suggestion if you're looking for good quality rabbits. Rabbit Homesteading says, section rabbits is so personal, LOL. But it is what it is, and you have to. Oh yeah, section rabbits is not that hard. It's much easier in ways it's much easier when they're younger. Because you can handle them a little bit easier without them. It's a lot easier to handle a little 3-week-old kit, 4-week-old kit than it is to handle an 8-pound rabbit that doesn't want to be turned upside down and probed and prodded. But also when the adults, it's pretty easy to tell a buck and an adult rabbit. TM says, well, I can make good fried chicken. I need to learn. I need to learn how to do it. I've tried many times, and I've made decent fried chicken, but never great. JJ Willow says, so many people have taken me step by step to good fried chicken, and it looks pretty, but always tastes awful. Well, mine's, my problem is always, I don't know. If it doesn't taste that great, it's probably the seasoning and the flour. Don't be afraid. And this is something I've learned fairly recently, to taste your flour before you cook with it. Just stick your finger in it and taste it. See if it's got enough seasoning in it. I've had a problem with under seasoning flour before, or over seasoning for that matter. Verna says, Chris, I put my doe and buck in a pet playpen and that helped them breed. Yeah, that's not a bad suggestion either. Sometimes if you take them to a neutral area and let them just have some time in that neutral area, it's not one of their cages. That's a good suggestion. That sometimes works too. JJ Willow says, people have dared each other to try my fried chicken and no one will. It's that bad. But I make awesome homemade noodles. There you go. Brett says, ask your local FFA. They do shows and you can meet and find breeders. That's a good suggestion. Curtis Snow says, I'm putting another 30 dozen quail eggs in the incubator tomorrow. Well, good luck. I hope that you have a great hatch. Sparkman says, in part of South Dakota, I'm in Verizon. Oh, the part of South Dakota I'm in, Verizon is king. AT&T is meh. Sprint Mobile only works in town along the interstate. Yeah, I mean, it's different everywhere. You're right. It just depends on who's got good service in your area. Rabbit Homesteading says, I hate to say it now, but AT&T works best everywhere I am as a local truck driver. But I think it depends on your location and your travels. Yeah, their service works great here. I just try to avoid using them unless I have to. Joe, or it's probably Sandy, isn't it? It's Joe Sandy, but I think it's always Sandy. It's on here. It says, gone all day, stopping in quick to say hi and wish you all a blessed Christmas. And give a thumbs up to my favorite channel. Thank you, Chris. Well, thank you very much for that. Merry Christmas to you, too. Hopefully you do well. Oh, well, no, we only got 3 minutes left. I'm going to see what I can do. Boris says, Ryan Reynolds, Mint Mobile, good promotion. I'll check it out. I forgot about Mint Mobile. There's a couple of Christian cell phone companies, too, that I was looking at. Pure Talk and Patriot Mobile, I believe, are the two. I'm not sure on those yet, but S.O. Swanson says, the large carrier names charge more. Many off-brands, i.e. Mint, Sprint Talk, less cost with same service. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, they all use the same lines anyway. I mean, Mint Mobile is not going out there and building their own cell phone network. You've got Verizon, Sprint, and AT&T. Well, I guess Sprint, T-Mobile now, I guess. And I think T-Mobile actually uses AT&T lines too. I don't know. But they all use everybody's networks. I mean, it's not, it's just like phone lines. You got all these different phone companies for landline phones and cable and internet access and all that kind of stuff. And none of them have their own networks. I mean, that was that whole, breakup of AT&T is that was the problem is AT&T didn't want to let other phone companies use their networks. And that was already built out. And I mean, can you imagine what that would be like if every phone company had to build out their entire network before they started up? It'd be crazy. So anyway, you're right. They all use the same service. It's just a matter of where you can get the best price. Jennifer Meyer says, most times if you're having issues with fried chicken, you're messing with it too much. Yeah, and that may be the case. I don't know. TM says, I can't make good barbecue. I wish I could, but I can't. I made some decent barbecue. I'm by no means the best, but decent. Ribs. I have a hard time with ribs, too. RBL Jackson says, I forgot to ask you, how did your deer butchering work out? We still haven't gotten a deer, but did pick up 2 hogs trapping over the weekend. I actually didn't process my own deer because I got it on a Sunday evening, had to go to work the next day, and it was too warm to let the deer hang overnight. So because it was an evening hunt, because I couldn't stay up late and deal with it, and I just took it to the processor. Yeah, Andy Rabbit says indirect heat is the key to good barbecue. Yeah, I agree. Tina Elliott says, you just got recommended to me. Sorry, it's almost over. Oh, well, I'm sorry it is too. I mean, I'd hang out all night if I could, but I got other things to do. I got to go spend some time with my wife before we go to bed, so she has to get up and go to work tomorrow. I have the day off, so I'm going to be cleaning and getting ready for Christmas. We're hosting. We always host Christmas. So, but hey, we'll be back next week. There's more time. I scrolled too far. There we go. Curtis Snow says, okay, about 4 minutes left, so I'm going to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. All be safe over the holidays. Absolutely. Yeah, we're out of time now. So if I didn't get to your chat, your comment tonight, I'm sorry about that, but it is time to wrap this one up. So yeah, absolutely. Merry Christmas to all of you. Hopefully you have a good one. Remember the reason for the season. I've got the shirt on today to show it doesn't say reason for the season, but it is Jesus. So, and hopefully you all do very well this holiday weekend. Have a good time with family, friends, and have a great New Year as well. We'll see you again before the New Year. But anyway, we're going to wrap this one up tonight. We'll be back next week. And as always, guys, God bless. We'll see you next week. Take care.